Never see Penny running in and out. How are you?
Good, how you doing?
Hello, Rita.
With the time being 7 o'clock on this wonderful, beautiful October 11th Monday night, I am calling the Planning and Development Committee to order. Can I please have a roll call?
Tilkitis.
Here.
Bala.
Here.
Hayleitner. Here. Bongard.
Here.
Bancroft.
Here.
Lencioni.
Here.
Petrella.
Here.
Warball.
Here.
Bessner.
Here.
Weber.
Here. Thank you. I just have one quick statement before we start the meeting. The Charlestown Mall concept plan review that was scheduled to be on the committee agenda this evening is being rescheduled to a later date. The project will not be discussed tonight. Once the new meeting date is determined, a mailing with the new meeting date will be sent out to property owners within the notice area. Moving along with the omnibus vote. Item 4A, I'd like to remove from the omnibus vote. There's going to be some questions and discussion. Can I have a motion and a second to remove that?
So moved.
So moved by Lencioni, second by Warball. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes. All those not in favor say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Let's before we get to 4A, can I get a motion and a second to pass 4B though for the omnibus vote?
So moved. Second.
Moved by you got Bessner? No. Moved by Todd Bancroft, seconded by David Petrella. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those not in favor say nay. The ayes have it. That motion carries. Alrighty, so for 4A, let's go ahead and open that up to discussion. Go ahead, Mr. Tilkitis.
Thank you. Yeah, I pulled this off. I just got basically two questions, and this will be for, thank you for coming up to the podium. The first question is, when we originally agreed to the 60-day extension, it even says in your summary that they had to start construction. They haven't started yet.
That's correct.
So I'm trying to figure out why we're giving them another 90 days when they haven't fulfilled what we approved 2 months ago.
Yes, I believe the 60-day extension was to give the owner the opportunity to initiate the permitting and hopefully start the construction. And we were providing those 60 days as an opportunity for them to demonstrate what progress they'd made on the project. They have not started construction to date.
That is correct.
The update that we have is that they have completed the building permitting process and that a permit has been issued.
Correct.
And they have provided a construction schedule, which was not included in the packet, but it identifies a construction start date of October 25th in 2 weeks. And we also have the owner on Zoom available to comment if the committee would like.
Well, okay, then I expect in 2 weeks the construction will be started. If the construction is not started, then this needs to come back to the committee because they are in violation of what we approved back in August, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
The difference now would be that because a building permit has been issued,
Right.
We technically can allow them to maintain the site as a construction site. However, because they have not initiated construction, we would have a basis to require them to bring it into compliance up until the point that they start that construction work.
So they have 2 weeks to start.
Correct.
Correct. Okay, thank you. One more question. On the last paragraph of the first section, in the event construction does not proceed in a timely manner, what is timely manner?
Well, in this case, we are basing that on the construction schedule that's been provided, so we will require that the developer adhere to that schedule.
Okay, so in other words, like I said, they should have
starting in
construction
2 weeks.
in 2 weeks. If they haven't, then, in my opinion, that is not a timely manner. Therefore, it would need to come back to a committee to continue with the process of either the three options we had before. Okay, thank you. That's what I want clarification on.
Go ahead, Ron.
So the 90 days starts from what time? October 1st? Or from the issuance of the permit?
Yes, from the issuance of the permit.
Okay.
And that is something that is a timeline that's in the building code.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I guess just one question. You wouldn't have to come back to committee to start enforcement action, would you?
No, we would not.
Okay.
But at
Thank
that
you.
point, it might be appropriate to bring it back to the committee for discussion as an update on the status.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions with that? No? We're just looking for,
Yes.
go ahead, Rita.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. So this really, all that was supposed to be was just an update anyway. There was nothing.
Yes, that's correct. There's no action required by the committee.
Okay.
And as I mentioned, Jeff Funk, representing the owner, is on Zoom. If there's questions you want to direct to him.
See no questions, or we can move along.
Thank you.
Yep. Next up, we have the Plan Commission recommendation to approve a special use PUD for Casey's. Rachel, go ahead.
Good evening. Eric Nichols of Casey's Retail Company has submitted zoning applications requesting approval to develop a Casey's gas station and convenience store on the vacant bank site at 2600 East Main Street, which is located within the Foxfield Commerce Center PUD. A concept plan similar to the proposal was reviewed in June of this year, and details of the proposal are to demolish the current bank building, construct a new fuel facility, and 4,600 square foot convenience store, and a canopy with 8 fuel pumps, 16 fuel stations. They're proposing to provide an additional access drive along Fieldgate Drive and maintain east cross access and relocate north cross access to the property, and then proposing a right-of-only access off of Main Street, Route 64. The Plan Commission held a public hearing on September 8th and unanimously approved or recommended to approval, but did have concerns about the comprehensive plan's intent to have a diversity of businesses along Route 64, considering previous gas stations have been approved by City Council. And they were also noted that the Casey's business model includes food, so it's not just a typical gas station, which set itself apart from the other previous approvals. Eric and the Casey's team is here and wanted to go through a PowerPoint presentation, so I will turn it over to them for their presentation.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Jonathan Kalaga.
Thank you.
My address is 2032 White Creek Lane in Yorkville, Illinois. I am the regional manager for Casey's General Store. I currently oversee 84 locations. I have 7 supervisors under me, so that's the role that I play. This would be one of the locations that I would be overseeing if it were to get approved. Just a little bit about who we are. We are a convenience store that started back in 1968. We have grown that to over 2,300 stores in about 16 different states. Majority of those are in Iowa, Illinois, and Missouri. Our biggest presence is in those rural towns and those small close-knit communities. And I think that's why we would play a great role here with you in bringing us into your community. As Rachel stated, we do offer more than just a place to fuel up. We offer a Casey's Pizza that is one of its own. We are the 5th largest pizza chain in the country. We use quality products. Our dough is made from scratch there on a daily basis within our team. And it's just a staple in the community. It gives you a place to stop after the football game on a Friday night to enjoy a slice of pizza on your way home. We have a purpose. Our purpose is to make the life better for the communities and guests every day. That's what our Here for Good slogan is based off of. We take pride in supporting the efforts that strengthen our communities because we're also part of that community. The team members that we bring in are normally part of that community and living with you guys on a daily basis. Here for good community impact, so we do like to get into the community pretty well off. On a larger scale, we have a Casey's Rewards program that is something that I like to help my store managers get into the school districts and the different schools, because all the rewards that they earn on Casey's Rewards can go back to the school. So that's definitely one benefit of bringing us in that would set us apart from some of the other convenience chains. We have also provided 15 million meals throughout 48 other food banks in the Feeding America project. There's a $150,000 donation to Feeding America's COVID-19 response fund. We also align ourselves since 2012 with Hope for Warriors. So we're always looking to provide and help those veterans and their families that do struggle. And then just some of the economical benefits that a Casey's stores bring. It's going to bring an investment into the community between $3 and $5 million in building and land development costs. We will employ 25 to 35 part-time and full-time team members that are offered a 401k, a dental and vision insurance. And not only do we sell motor fuel, we also do regular grocery items as well. That is going to impact the state taxes as well for us. Like I was speaking earlier, we're more than just another gas station in town. It's a community. We're gonna be involved with you guys, and we want to be a part of that. We want to give you guys another opportunity to bring in a quality convenience chain.
My name is Eric Tracy. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of Illinois with Kimley Horn and Associates. Address is 4201 Winfield Road in Warrenville, Illinois. I'm going to walk through a little bit of the site plan, re-familiarize yourself with it from the last time we were here a couple months ago. What you have in front of you is an aerial exhibit showing the location of the proposed Casey's and on an existing vacant bank lot. So we're at the northeast corner of Field Gates and Main Street. Now on the screen is our proposed site plan. I believe last time we were in front of you, we actually also had a right-in proposed to Main Street directly. We did pursue that with IDOT. IDOT was not going to allow that, or they initially responded to have that curb cut go away, which we have complied with. I believe that was one of the concerns that we heard last time we were here as well, was all of the access. So that curb cut has gone away. Noted in the staff report, there are two connections proposed to Field Gates, and that is critical for the fuel storage, or the fuel tank to get on and off of this site. So the tank has to do that loop to get in and out of the site. Now on the screen is a landscape plan that's been significantly enhanced since the last time we were here. In the staff report, there are a few comments on the deficiencies of the landscape plan. I connected with Rachel before this meeting. Obviously, staff would have to have the opportunity to review it, but this is a revised plan that we believe meets all of the requirements of foundation landscaping, frontage landscaping, and signage landscaping as well. And that's frontage landscaping along both Main Street and Field Gates. So we've enhanced. We're committed to working with staff to get the landscaping up to what they're looking to see here. These two views, I think, really give a good visual to how the Casey's development is going to transform that corner. This is the existing bank, which has been vacant, I believe, for 7+ years. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's been around that time. And this is what the proposed Casey's would look like on that corner. So again, go back to the existing bank to the proposed Casey's development. Another view, perspective, bird's eye view, if you will. Again, you can see the sea of asphalt and building that's there on the site today compared to what Casey's is proposing. Significantly more green space, a modern building, updated sites, something we believe to be quite an improvement on that lot. And with that, there's myself to answer any technical questions, and the Casey's team to answer any specific questions you might have for them. We're happy to take any questions at this time.
All right, I'll open it up to questions from the council. Go ahead, David.
Excuse me. I actually had some questions about landscaping, so I think you might have answered them already. And for Rachel too, so staff still needs, you just turned these in recently, is that what you're saying? They still need to review from your point of view?
They need to review, but in our revised plan, we went through it before the meeting. We feel that we're meeting the comments of staff.
So I appreciate the picture, because the one thing I was going to question was, because in the memo and in your answers to the criteria for PUD, that Plan Commission we should be using to justify deviations and what have you. You mentioned significantly a couple of times in terms of, and I see there is a lot of green space there. So I was going to ask staff, because there were some deviations in the matrix in the staff's memo, the staff memo. But if I'll just ask you, Richard, when it says meets standard, is it just the minimum, or do they exceed as well? Typically when the staff mentions that?
So when that's been reviewed, that would mean that at minimum it meets the standard, but it could exceed. But I
I mean it's for sure meeting it, as you say, but and the reason, so it looks as, the picture indicates to me that it's exceeding the green space, because that's what my concern was.
Yeah, and I would note that these renderings don't show their updated plan at this point. So they have the landscaping in the line, and what he just showed me before the meeting, it is, broken up into a more natural looking arrangement than just a straight line across the parking lot.
That's it. So I appreciate you mentioning that. That was just my concern. So
I believe the green space, overall green space on site was increased by about 0.3 acres.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Rita.
Yeah. Who is going to own this property? Is Casey's corporate going to own it?
Eric, this is going to be stepping up hills. I have a better explanation.
Yeah, thank you.
I won't look at it.
Yeah.
Hi, good evening. Eric Doms, Troutman Doms Commercial Real Estate. We are the contract purchaser. We will be, if we do get our approval, acquiring the property. We'll be the landlord, and we'll be leasing the property to Casey's.
Okay, good, thank you. We talked, Mr. Dows, yeah. And that I had gotten in our packet this note from giving permission, for the new owners to talk about, the property. This letter shall serve as owner's written authorization for Eric Nickel of Casey's Retail as agent for the contract purchaser. So is that correct?
We're the contract purchaser. Eric Nickel is with Casey's, and they're going to be the tenant.
Okay, so you see where I was confused.
Yeah, sure.
Because it looks like that he's the,
on our calls, I think there's 4 Erics, so.
Yeah, no, there were. Yeah, yes, I started jotting them down. Yeah, Eric 1, 2, 3, or 4. And we had talked before that one of my big concerns was a tank in the ground. And you had said, to ease my worry a bit, that that when the lease is up and they move out, the tank has to go with them. Is that still the case? Yes.
That's correct. They're required to remove the tanks.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I think I have one. This might be more for someone from Casey's, but how much pizza do you sell?
It's very good, though.
And I'm only asking that because I'm trying to see if you're promoting that you sell a lot of pizza, so I'm just trying to figure out how much traffic you're getting either on a daily basis. If you have seats inside the restaurant, are you selling whole pizzas, you know?
Correct. So we do sell pizza by the slice. We could have anywhere up to 5 different styles of pizza in the warmer, ready for you to walk in, grab it, take it on the road. We also offer whole pies as well throughout the day. That does include our breakfast pizza, which is the one that's highly sought after by many people. Once you get a taste of it, it's hard to get off of it. But it can vary. A lot of stores that I have in this area are very high traffic volume throughout the day. So I could sell anywhere, I get 6 slices out of a large pizza, so I could probably sell anywhere 20 to 30 pizzas on an afternoon, just on a regular afternoon, just with travel traffic. But I also have some locations that are very well off in their community that they do 100 pizzas on a Friday night as well. So it varies in range.
And people just come and pick them up or eat there? You're not delivering or anything like that?
Currently, we do have locations that work with DoorDash or Uber Eats, so we could deliver that way. But yes, it'd mostly be pick-up, call-in orders. You can utilize our app to order off the app, so forth.
Okay. And then is this typically someone's going to be there all day making pizzas, or are these just frozen when they're made, or?
Nope, somebody will be there all day. On a daily basis, we do make the dough, so we bring in flour and we actually mix it on site and have fresh dough so that it's made fresh for you and pretty much within 24 hours.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Paul. You have a question?
Go ahead.
Paul, you have a question, Ryan?
You want to go first?
Sure. I don't know if I have a question, but I definitely want to get through that. Are we going to comments after?
Let me go first. I'll go first. So this is probably for staff, whoever wants to take it. Just reviewing the notes, looking at the packet and talking, commissioners expressed concern about a gas station specifically at this spot, referencing the other locations that are being developed, the comprehensive plan, yet then voted to approve it moving forward. So can you give us some background on that?
Yes, so one commissioner brought up the fact that the comprehensive plan does specify a diversity of businesses along the corridor, and it was discussed, the council had previously approved, a couple of new gas stations in this area, but then a comment was made, that Casey's, yes, it is a gas station, but they also have this pizza component, as he was just saying, is a really big part of their identity. And so not only is it really just a gas station, but there's also the food aspect of it. So they felt that it differed itself enough with this pizza aspect to be more than just a gas station, and that's how they felt comfortable approving it, even though the comprehensive plan specified the diversity. So they felt it was diverse because it was also like a restaurant, if you will, a takeout restaurant.
Okay.
Do you want to make a comment?
Well, I just have a lot of questions. In fact, actually, one of the things that I could ask for the property owner, with the requirement that after the lease is up, for Casey's to remove the tank, does that have to do with, does that also concern any of the phase 2 study or anything else to return the site back to, buildable for other uses to alleviate anything connected with the tank in the ground? Because that's a serious concern of mine.
Yes, and in addition to removing the tank, they would also have to do the backfill properly and do all testing to prove that it was ready to be put back in service, if you will.
Okay, and you're not, you don't currently own, you have a contract to buy the property, you're not currently owner of the property, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I would like to add, if I could, I did speak to the adjoining shopping center. They are a proponent of this development, in particular for Casey's. They think it will help with their businesses, with their leasing of a lot of vacancies in that center. I also talked to Safeway Liquors across the street. They also support the project and are thinking about doing some improvements themselves if this project moves forward, along with St.Charles Toyota across the street, that is also a proponent of the Casey's project.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, with that, I'm going to ask for a motion and a second to approve the PUD so this can continue to move forward. Do we have a motion and a second? Okay. We do not. We have nothing.
So moved.
All right. So moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second? All right. Let's do a roll call vote on this.
Lencioni,
No.
Petrella,
No.
Warfall,
No.
Bessner,
Yes.
Sakai, it's okay.
No.
Sokaitis,
No.
Bala,
Yes.
Payleitner,
No.
Bongard,
No.
No.
All right. The motion fails. It does not carry. Thank you very much. All righty. Next up, we have item 4D, approving the 6-month extension of a special use for Zenleaf at 3714 Illinois Avenue. Go ahead, Alan.
Good evening. Hopefully Services of West Illinois, LLC, has filed an amendment to their special use ordinance requesting a 6-month extension for their special use Zenleaf at 3714 Illinois Avenue. Zenleaf's special use approval included an 18-month sunset clause, so the special use expires on November 18th. The applicant has requested a 6-month extension to May 18th, 2022. This will allow Zenleaf to continue operating at Illinois Avenue until the state of Illinois approves their relocation to 3691 East Main Street. The city did approve a special use for the Main Street location earlier this year. The state will begin accepting relocation applications this month, so Zenleaf does plan to relocate as soon as they are approved by the state. Plan Commission held a public hearing on September 21st and voted 8-0 to recommend approval.
Okay. Any questions or comments on that? Looks pretty routine. It looks like their store's ready to go. They're just waiting on the state to approve it, huh?
That's my understanding, and there are representatives here tonight from Zenleaf.
Okay. Go ahead, Rita.
Yeah, thanks, Ellen. That kind of was my question. What's the timeline? I mean, heaven knows, in your defense, being dependent on a Springfield timeline hasn't, worked in your favor thus far. But, the big part, right, is
so
the license moving is done.
right. So some of our anticipated timeline was upset by the pandemic with the state legislature or the General Assembly shutting down in spring 2020 and then fall 2020. They picked up the legislation in spring of 2021. Governor Pritzker signed in the amendment to the statute allowing Zenleaf to relocate in the end of July 2021. IDFPR just is coming out with their applications to do the relocation tomorrow. That's what it's anticipated. Then they have 30 days to review that application, given the other operators that also are interested in this relocation, their relocations. We anticipate that IDFPR is going to act swiftly on reviewing the application. I was just told Zenleaf has their final inspections at their new location for their COO tomorrow. So their new location's teed up and ready to go. IDFPR gives approval in that 30-day window after tomorrow. We can schedule our final inspection with IDFPR. I mean, if everything goes smoothly, you know, this could be by the end of the year. When we filed this application, the governor still had the bill on his desk when he signed it. We didn't know when IDFPR would get their applications out. So barring any unforeseen concerns, we hope January would be in the new location. We're building an extra few months so that we don't just keep coming here asking for extensions if, you know, pandemic comes up or something like that.
Okay, and what's your, I'm hearing from the neighbors still, you know, they saw this and they panicked. They go, oh my gosh, now what? You know, and I explained to them that it was more or less correct me if I'm wrong, a paperwork detail.
Correct.
That you had gotten, you know, at the end of July, and I explained all that. Because they do still have concerns that there's still issues, you know, over there. And so I would, you know, even though your days are numbered as neighbors, I would really appreciate, you know, some sort of reach out, you know, there aren't that many, you know, to
Are you
let them know.
talking about in the association?
Yes.
So
yes.
there was the attachment or the email that was sent. We did work that out with the association. So that's been resolved. And the dance school, who was a vocal participant in the earlier proceeding, we've worked that out with them as well. So it's my understanding as of today, everybody's satisfied.
Okay, so you've had communication in the last couple of weeks?
Regularly. I mean,
okay.
Whether it's this or just general association things, they're not shy in calling us.
Okay, well, good. Glad to hear it. Okay, thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much. Okay, seeing no other questions, with that, I'm going to ask for a motion and a second. To approve the 6-month extension, moved by Mr. Lencioni, seconded by Mr. Bancroft. Let's do a roll call on that.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Bessner?
Yes.
Sakalas?
Yes.
Bawa?
Yes.
Payleitner?
Yes.
Bongard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Thank you very much. The motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Next, we have, by Russell, we're going to do a request for concept proposals for the former police station site. Go ahead, Russell.
Yes, thank you. So the last time that this discussion was on the Planning and Development Committee agenda, we had a draft request for proposals presented in June of 2020. And that was drafted based on the 2020 comprehensive plan amendment for downtown, which specifically focused on the police station site, and some direction from a city council workshop during that time period. At that point in June 2020, the committee decided to delay issuing the RFP and hasn't been back for discussion since. At the recent city council retreat, there's a discussion regarding proceeding with issuing the request for proposals, but modifying it to be a request for conceptual proposals where we'd be looking for a concept plan level detail. And the thought process being that it would be less time consuming, less costly for a developer to submit. And we also may generate some additional interest and get a broader picture of what types of development opportunities there'd be for the site. So staff went ahead and updated the draft. The sections that have been updated are highlighted in red. But for the most part, the recommendations regarding land use and other site characteristics are the same. So just a couple of things I wanted to highlight. First, regarding the review process, we've modified it so that there's a little more flexibility in terms of the timelines and the selection of finalists. We'd like to leave some flexibility into the process so we can see how many applications we receive and if they're quality applications, and kind of have an opportunity to rank them and make a determination whether it makes sense to present multiple proposals or select proposals based on the response that's received. And also any feedback on the timeline. We've suggested at least a 90-day timeline so that those responses come back with time after the holidays. So 90 days would put us at about the end of January once this is approved by the council. So with that, open to any comments or discussion, but we're looking for a recommendation to move it forward to City Council to take official action to issue the request for conceptual proposals.
Go ahead, David.
90 days is fine. I agree with that. Of course, I agree with the plan concept. But I would just throw this out there for my colleagues here, just a suggestion that in section 7, paragraph 4, where it actually talks about concept plan, the subsection A, that we include some language, maybe language like that includes other amenities, facilities for use by the general public. It's still broad enough, I think, but still reiterates that there's some public use should still be included or thought of in this, in their ideas. But that's my comments. I would like to see something like that, just to reiterate that point.
Go ahead, Mr. Lencioni first, and then more about your.
I would like to talk about considering making it 120 days, because we're in O&D, you know, and I can imagine, you know, you lose 45 of those days potentially, and there's all kinds of hang-ups, and also being through COVID and the rest of it. I mean, if you give somebody a little bit of time on the other side of the year, somebody who potentially would tap out because they're racing towards the end of the year, and yeah, they still get a chance to get it in. Give them a little time, and as you just a little bit of time in the next plan year too, and budget year, I think if potentially that even lets one additional concept plan come in, I think it's worth giving an extra 30 days just to get into 2022. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I agree with Alderman Lancioni on the 120 days. I think that would be a good idea. I also agree with Alderman Petrola on the public amenities. I think we should have some language in there about encouraging maybe or considering a public amenity. It could be an outdoor amphitheater. It can be a cultural arts center, something like that, anything like that, just for examples. Also, consideration needs to be, or at least acknowledge the Freedom Shrine that's over there, and what is the plan to move that or relocate it. I don't know if discussions have been taking place about that, but that's something we need to consider as well.
Go ahead, Rita.
Russ, you kind of started to address my concern. Under the review process, it says selection of a short list of proposals. I was assuming that the short list came from staff vetting, you know, those that would, before it came to us, you know, vetting the true serious applicants, or that they're kind of in the ballpark of, you know, what we'd like to see, because that's been pretty clear. But I worry that unless it's for our sake, that you know, are you expecting like 500 of these? I mean, if we're just going to, I don't want to see 3. If there's 10, I want to see 10. If there's 20, I want to see 20. You know, I don't want to see 200, no. And I want to see ones that are realistic, and I'll trust staff to vet those out. But I'm just wondering what the, you know, what does short list look like, you know?
Yes, and I think, you know, to your point, we wanted to anticipate that, you know, we may only receive a few qualified applicants, in which case the committee would have an opportunity to see them all potentially, or we may have a lot and need to you know, vet those and only present a portion that we think are really appropriate to be presented. So we were trying not to narrow it down to say there would be you know, a certain number of finalists, but I think the thought process was in line with what you described.
Thank you. Good, thank you. Yeah, because I don't know, when Alderman Bancroft brought this up at the retreat, I kind of like, hey, no such thing as a bad idea, right? I mean, so let's hear what they have to say within the scope of, you know, our expectations. But okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Mr. Rubal.
Yeah, I just like to echo Alderman Payleitner's comments as well. I'd like to see as many as we can get, even if maybe we get ideas from some of them as well that maybe we can work in there. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Just to touch on what Mr. Warbaugh said, Bean. Go ahead, Todd.
To give maybe a twist some perspective here. So first, whether we add 30 days or not, I don't know that it'll matter. I think most of the people that are going to respond to this will probably be working for the holidays, so I'm not too worried about it. But the extra time is no big deal. my second reaction to just the discussion is the selection of the short list of proposals is towards the applicants, not necessarily governing us, so I think we should get whatever we ask for.
Oh, okay.
So to me, I just don't want you to, I didn't read that as limiting how internally we're going to manage the process. And then I think third, from a public space standpoint or a specific, whether it's Freedom Shrine or questions, I have no issue with going forward in this. I think that you want to be careful not to make the suggestion that there's going to be this big ask by the city council to develop a band shell or some sort of concert hall in addition to the ability to develop the site. The whole point of this is send it out and get what their ideas are coming in. We'll have plenty of time to talk to them about it, and I would just be careful how strong that encouragement for public use is. And then fourth, as a submitter in concept plans in the past in my career, one of the things that really irritated me was exactly the idea of, well, why don't we see them all and then we'll cherry pick everybody's good ideas and then we'll pick somebody to do it. That would make me really angry if I came up with a good idea and I wasn't that somebody who got picked. So, I think the way this works is you get good concepts in, you pick a horse and you go. And then if good ideas come up after that, they come up after that. So I just throw it out there for some consideration.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Bongard.
So, from that point, we're only as good as, the proposals that come in. So whether it's 5, it's 10, it's 200, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume that the majority of them are probably gonna kind of look and feel the same. So what is the best process in which you take community and you take this council to help kind of push more of the vision side without getting too much into the specifics where you're canceling somebody out, but also making sure that we don't see 40 versions of roughly the same type of, mixed use kind of thing? What is the best process in which this potential development can be an anchor to downtown building off what's already going on, and is obviously going to be a piece of property that's going to have a lot of conversation around it? How do we, we can't steer the ship, but at the same time putting out there and getting community feedback more so that we don't run into, well, here's 12 concept plans that are arguably kind of the same, but these are the 12 that we picked because that's what we picked.
Yeah, I think, to be fair to the applicants, when we review the proposals, we'll need to first evaluate them on the specific criteria that are listed in the request for concepts, because that's what we've kind of laid out as expectations of what we're looking for. And I think after that point, depending on if there's sort of ones that are more alike, we may put them in groups of different types of project, and then try and determine if there's a way to kind of rank those in terms of the quality of how well it demonstrates complying with our planning documents and what our expectations are that we've set out. I think that there's a possibility we're going to get some responses that are maybe kind of outside of the box that we've outlined, and we may have those set aside as a group. And I think if we end up with sort of some groups of dissimilar proposals, I think at that point we'd probably want to come back to the committee and get some direction about how you'd like to proceed with these different groups, and try and look at them as objectively as we can within those individual groups.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Go ahead, Mr. Warwell.
One last question. So what I noticed is there's not a price on the property. So what is the game plan? Is it just to kind of get concepts and just get that creativity flowing and kind of talk about that another time? Is that kind of the objective? Or,
yes.
Okay.
So we've suggested that, to the extent that the developer is able to, that they suggest some business terms to the city. We know that there's going to be development costs associated with the property in terms of making it development ready, demolishing the buildings, environmental cleanup. Potentially, there's going to be an element of public improvements taking place. We've talked about the public amenities, what's happening along the riverfront. So it's likely that if a developer is chosen, we would enter into a redevelopment agreement that would kind of outline how the costs are being structured and what the developer is responsible for including within the project. And so it isn't necessarily a scenario where we're putting the property up for sale as is. It's possible we could reach that conclusion, but it's probably not likely based on the type of proposals that we're anticipating and the fact that the city has interest in what's going on around the site in terms of public infrastructure.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. So I guess, based on everyone's comments, we want to, with the exception of the 90-day or 120-day, we want to keep this as flexible as possible so we can see as many proposals as possible. So with that, I'd like to, we got to approve directing staff to get a request for concept proposals. So I'd like a motion and a second to move this along. Moved by Ryan Weingart, seconded by Brian Wirball. Can I get a roll call vote on that?
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Bessner?
Yes.
Kulkaitis?
Yes.
Bala?
Yes.
Payleitner?
Yes.
Bongard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that, I have no additional business to talk about. There's no reason to go into executive session tonight. Can I please have a motion and a second to adjourn?
So move.
So moved by Brian Wirball, seconded by Brian Barngard. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned.